is up, ladies and gentlemen of the online Jamily? This, of course, here's Jamiroquai 2000 with a brand new limited series here on my channel, kind of a real world series called Funny Stories from My Week in England from 2023. I thought I'd tell some funny stories that actually happened during my week in England, attending the Victorious Festival and meeting lots of the members of the online Jamily, and in addition, meeting the band Jamiroquai. Just some funny little stories that I thought I'd recount here on my channel that happened during this week of me over in England. Of course, as I said back in my vlogs, that was my first international trip away from America, my first time on airplanes. So you can understand how nerve-wracking it was for me to get on airplanes for the first time. But luckily, it all worked out. I had the young courage to get on those planes. But my first story is going to be dealing with a little bit of embarrassment that happened at the TSA airline pre-check. Now, for anybody who has never been to an American airport or at least any international airport, the TSA, at least here in the United States, are tasked with making sure that people or customers that get on airplanes don't have any foreign objects, any fluids, any kind of foreign objects on their person when they get onto an airplane. Given past incidents here in the United States, which I will not recount for potential political discussion, but it's customary for at least American people on airlines to go through a TSA airline check where they check your baggage in some cases. They have you take off anything in your pockets or anything on your being, and they do scan you in a metal detector, and they do scan you in a full body scanner to make sure that you have no foreign objects upon your person. Now, in some cases, some TSA airline pre-checks can be very, very just annoying, at least in the inconvenience of having to go through this process, but it's to ensure the safety of including the flight staff, the pilots, and everybody on the airplane for that trip to wherever you're headed in the world. Now, this story concerning me deals with my second flight. Now, the first flight I had going over to England, of course, transpired from me leaving Richmond to go to Boston. Okay, now the TSA and local airports that aren't connecting to international flights, which is like a one-shot from wherever you live to said destination, is very limited. So in the case of me living in just the middle of nowhere, I had to go to a connecting flight to a major city that accommodates international flights. So the TSA pre-check process in those cities and those airports is a little more stringent than in those hayseed or very suburban airports where you go to said connecting flight from there. So when I went through the TSA pre-check at in Richmond here in Virginia, the TSA process went very, very quickly. It wasn't very as intrusive as the TSA pre-checks in these major airline hubs that are like cities like Atlanta, New York, Boston. So in this case, I was going to Boston for a TSA pre-check. So I took my flight from Delta to Boston. I found my flight, and before you are allowed to get to your departure gate to go to your connecting flight, you have to go through the TSA airline pre-check, which is basically you put your baggage in a small little plastic tub, and they send it through an X-ray scanner to make sure there are no foreign objects, nothing that is illegal, that is against the criteria of allowed substances or objects within your luggage to get onto a flight and get past the screening process, and then they have to scan you. So in this case, I put my backpack and all my baggage, my check baggage had already been checked and put onto the airplane, so that did not have to go through this process. Mostly my backpack, my computer, and all the personal stuff I had. So I stood there, put everything in the thing, and pushed it towards the X-ray scanner, and then they physically have you take all of your articles that are in your pockets or any pockets you have or anything in your backpack, and put it into that tub to make sure it's scanned. So I'm standing there at the pre-check line, and they have a metal detector about 6.5 tall. You walk through that and make sure you don't have any metal objects on your body. It could be jewelry, it could be belts. In this case, it concerns a belt. So I went through the scanner and went boom. And then very polite TSA agent is like, do you have any metal objects on you? I'm like, yeah, maybe my glass. And they go, glasses is perfectly fine. I go, maybe my belt. Now, be aware, the amount of people that are in the airport for TSA airline pre-check, at least in the big airports, is in possibly the thousands, unlike the original airport that I left from my home in Virginia, which was only a few hundred people. This was a few thousand people standing in a long line, got that look of discontent on their faces, having to go through this process. So I was like, yeah, I've got a belt. So I, casually took my belt off. I went through the metal detector. I was fine. Now, belts have an intention. The intention of the belt is to keep your pants up rather than down. So I got into this big physical scanner that looked like about the size of a phone booth, and the scanners go around your body to scan your body the same way they x-ray your luggage as you send it through the opposite scanner to make sure there are no foreign objects or illegal items allowed in your baggage. So I went into the physical scanner and handed the belt to the TSA. He put it over in my tub, and it got scanned and went through perfectly fine, no foreign objects or anything. So I'm standing there, and what they do is you have you stand there with your hand above your head, like you're being arrested or whatever, in the scanner. But what I forgot was I didn't have the liberty of a belt. So I'm standing there, about 1,000 people standing there waiting to have their turn to go through TSA Pre-check so they can go onto the departure point. I'm standing there with my hands like this. I'm in the scanner, and then all of a sudden I hear the sound, vroom, like a big coalescent boom. What I don't realize is that's the sound of my pants falling. Okay? So I'm in the middle of a TSA body scanner, hands like this, pants down, way down, everything else down below on display in front of thousands of people. And you'd think in an embarrassing situation like that, you would make like, a funny, comment or go and just wait for the scanner to finish and grab your pants and grab it. But I went the comical route. And when it comes to physical embarrassment or self-deprecating things, I like to crack a joke. So I'm standing there, hands above my head, blue jeans down around my ankles, my George boxer shorts bulges for miles, and we men, we kind of we embellish that part of our anatomy. I'm standing there, hands above my head, pants down around my ankles, and I just simply look at all the ladies to my left and right and go, hey, you know what, ladies? Don't act like you're not impressed. And I'm just cutting a sneerish smile, like Wile E. Coyote in a Looney Tunes cartoon. And then they went, boom, you can go through, sir. I grabbed my belt, I pulled my pants up as quick as I can, and I'm haphazardly putting my belt through the loops of my pants, grabbing my stuff from the plastic tub that had already been pre-scanned, and one person in all the group of people basically clapped his hands and said, was like, that's incredibly funny, man. Awesome. And that was my embarrassment in comical stride at TSA Airline Pre-check in the city of Boston. And all I can say is thank you to the TSA agents who didn't make any comments about what they saw. But I'm sure a lot of other people had mental thoughts they were keeping to themselves with. That's my first funny story I thought I'd share for my week in England, or should in this case, a process to going to England. I hope you enjoyed this story. It's a bit embarrassing. It's a little self-deprecating, but I don't mind. I like to make people laugh, and I hope you enjoy the story. There are going to be a couple more episodes in the series forthcoming for my channel, so be sure to keep your eyes out for those other great funny stories from my week in England. And as always, this is Jamiroquai 2000. I hope you enjoyed this first episode of this new series. If you like what you see, be sure to like and subscribe. Be sure to ding the bell on your YouTube to stay up to date on all the newest content coming from the Jamiroquai 2000 YouTube channel. As always, this is Jamiroquai 2000, and I'll see you again really soon with another funny story from my trip to England in 2023. Bye-bye, everybody, and take care, and don't forget to put on a belt.